Hey, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Planting the Right Discovery Environment. This talk explores the ecosystem that the product team of SofaTutor developed for enabling discovery work. And I will share our learnings from the change and why it is important to not only have the right tools, but also the common ground on which the team can bloom and bring sustainable success. I will talk about the team structure, the product work, and the role of management. And this is not only directed to product managers or designers or developers, but also to managers and people who want to make a real change at their companies. Also, for example, known as intrapreneurs. But let me shortly introduce myself. My name is Sören von Sebelin, and I started my career as a producer at Good Game Studios, which is now known for titles like Good Game Empire and Big Farm. And there I grew with the company as we scaled from roughly 100 to more than 1,300 people in just 4 years. And I was responsible for the success of scaling teams, product teams basically of around 7 to up to 60 cross-functional team members. And within that work, I loved the challenge of creating the most efficient process possible. And while keeping the goal and certain conditions in mind, obviously. But slowly the question of purpose developed in my mind. And I wanted to do good and bring value to the people with my work. And that's why I started falling in love with the real product work, always having the value in mind that you bring to the people. So Product Nerd was born. Yay. And since then, I can't stop thinking as product manager, if at work or on vacation. And all the books I read, all the talks I enjoy are about product and their value. Maybe the only thing that gets me off of my product mind are board games and surfing. Luckily, because otherwise I'd probably drive my wife crazy. This is me standing in Galicia doing a workation for about 2 weeks. And for my wife and me, it was the best time this year. And I know there wasn't really big competition, but still only product work and surfing. It was freaking amazing. So the wish for bringing value to the people naturally brought me to education. Since I personally experienced the flaws of the system, I still think like it seems to be one of the least developed systems in Germany next to the internet reception. So after working at 1&1, wink, wink, I moved to wonderful Berlin to work at SofaTutor as a product owner. SofaTutor is an e-learning platform providing German pupils, parents, and teachers with thousands of learning videos and exercises. And we cover nearly all the content of the German school curriculum. Here you can see a little map from our exercises, the new exercises. SofaTutor's former head of product from 2 years ago was a person I knew from before. Luckily, so even before I started, I knew that a seed of product discovery would find nutritious soil to grow in. And after I recommended the book Inspired from Marty Kagan, it seemed to have had the impact that I hoped for. Because after about a month, he sent a colleague and me to London to a workshop from Marty Kagan. And there we were about to learn more about the post-agile product management. That's how we called it back in the days. Back in the days. It's not that long ago, actually. So, but it feels long ago because so much happened. And our goal was to do top-notch product work and to learn from the best and bring this to SofaTutor. And I have to say that all the experiences and changes in the company that followed clearly were not all driven or initiated by only me, but rather by an amazing team effort from people with a genuine wish to make things better. And I have the honor right now to walk you through some major learnings of this change to grow a sustainable environment for product discovery, as I already said. But spoiler alert, we're still far away from the optimum and we're also just learning. But I think this is already, we're on a stage where we can talk about our learnings. So let's first talk about the team structure and how to water your plants. As I started at SofaTutor, the product team and the tech team together was already set up in agile development teams. So the transition was about 1 year in the past, and they already got comfortable with sprints and iterative work. And they've tried to keep major topics in each team and mostly based on the knowledge and past projects from the developers and the POs. And kind of the paths from the teams were still orbiting all around something we've called the responsibility map. It looked something like this. Here you can see each and every part of the platform had to be placed somewhere onto this map. So this is a classic example of component-based teams, and it caused a ton of discussions and attempts to somehow get it right. And the result was that the teams felt like servants, mercenaries, responsible to continuously work on X, Y, Z, and not questioning if it actually made sense or a difference on the platform what they're working on. And next to this, all possible stakeholders were equally mapped to the teams. And what happened is that we tried to water every plant on our list, just like in this picture. That was the background, by the way. And you can imagine that we didn't have enough water and resources to really grow any fruits in this way. We just kind of tried to keep the most important plants alive, more or less, right? In our talks about product discovery, we decided we want missionaries, not mercenaries, just as John Dewar preaches. And people should want to make a difference with their work and feel success and failure and harvest the fruits of their work. So one of the major changes led by our head of product and the management team was to establish team missions. Those were closely aligned to the team knowledge and personal preferences from the team. And so they was like really actionable and was good because then we could like really deal with that already. And it was super important, additionally to that, to get the legitimization from the management to act and focus on those missions. That's why it was good that they gave them, like they talked with us about it and they gave them to us. And it was like we felt empowered to work on this. And over the course of the following months, we gradually decided for and against components and KPIs that help us with our mission. We were allowed to actually make bold moves as long as we could explain the reasoning to all the stakeholders. So we learned to focus on what matters and we communicated it properly. And what happened to the responsibility map actually, right? Like I just introduced it to you, and the whole responsibility map right now basically turned into a contact list for stakeholders and nothing more. So they have someone to go to when they have a request or whatever in this and that feature on the platform. And the fun thing is that this led to the end of those endless discussions. The thought is like, okay, we don't have to get it right. We basically just make the missions and get better at this instead of like somehow discussing about the abstraction level of the items on the responsibility map. Yeah, so the mission of one of our team was all about elementary school kids. And we focused our efforts extremely well on understanding the children afterwards, how they learn and what is fun to them actually, and how we can bring such an experience onto our platform. And this was one success story resulting in the Sofaheld that we also showed in the end. And this success means now that we have a super fun way to do exercises for elementary school kids, all led by Pommes the penguin. Pommes is like a word play. It's like fries in German. But yeah, turn out that it's a very, very famous name for pets. So our product manager in that team made a very cool move to just go with that. And they actually love it. Kids love it. And so that is like the first result that we had after changing it to the missions. And another example is how we managed to reimagine the whole navigation of the platform and reduce the path to get to the content by 3 big and hard steps. And this is, wait a second. There we go. This is the first screen of those steps. So we crunched it down to the most necessary parts. So our main takeaways were the following. Transpose the component-driven to mission-focused teams. Learn as a team what to act on and what not to act on, and communicate those moves and decisions. Be bold and outgoing as a team, and show the results. So the next area I want to talk with you about is the product work. I always understood product discovery as a major change in how a product manager works and thinks. And one of the biggest problems occurs when product people don't know what assumptions their work is actually based on. And the moment you start realizing that, basically that you don't know anything, you realize that you have to learn to see, maybe for the first time in your career. A few years back, we've had very little knowledge on the actual behavior of the users, their intentions, wishes. And everything we saw came from isolated analytic platforms and our database, which was, for our type of product, very superficial. And once we understood how little we know, it felt like walking in the dark, just like this guy here. And he had a 6, right? So that's in German school system. That's a very bad thing. He still smiles, why ever. I mean, probably because he didn't know better. But we know, okay, we're walking in the dark here. And we also know that discovery and plants need sunlight to grow. Good. I know plants grow also without sunlight, but they have no color. They have no shape. Well, they do have shape, but they're missing something very important. So what did we do first? First, we tried to find the best ways to do systematic, generative, and evaluative research. And I mean systematic, so we can go over it again. I call this learning first. We need to find the problems to solve and then understand if our approaches to solve that are working. That's basic product discovery 101, I would say. So we integrated Amplitude, Hotjar, SurveyMonkey, made tons of user tests, interviews, surveys, and learned best practices on how to run A/B tests. And here are just a few examples of things, of tools basically that we're using also at SofaTutor. Also, you see Slack in there. So we set up an automation that forwards any type of user feedback from the platform directly into the Slack channel to the company. And now, whenever we do something, we learn as quickly as possible directly from the user when something went wrong. Let me run you through this with a very straightforward example, the quick start. So with Hotjar surveys, we managed to get our hypothesis confirmed that around 35 to 40% of our users want to start where they left off. In terms of navigation, this is quite a big deal. That means like people get to the platform and they actually just want to start where they left off. So when we give them this possibility, 40% of our users directly get to the content super quick. That's what we want to grasp. That's the value we want to bring. So after gathering a lot of ideas on how to solve this, we ran through some usability tests via Lookback with our users recruited by testing time. And one solution seemed to work. And with this, we just recently deployed an A/B test supported by Convert. Now with Amplitude, we realized that the metric is not getting better, but according to the A/B test guide, even significantly worse. Since we know there is a big potential, we will have to iterate over it again. But just imagine what it would mean if we would just like take out 1 or 2 of those steps. We probably wouldn't have acted on it at all. We wouldn't know that there is this potential. We would probably just leave it on the platform, even though we know that it makes things worse. So this is the feedback loop that I'm talking about. We need to walk in the sun. We need to know where to go and what to do. So never before we were able to make as quick and well-informed decisions, and we never felt closer to our customers and users, and everything is measurable. all of the doubts of naysayers could be debunked, and we stopped holding us back from actually really making a change and bringing innovation to the table. Something we need to take care of right now is to make sure everyone who should know about those insights is really up to date and can understand the reasons behind decisions, and also to be able to take the right decisions herself. So working with reports and presentations, workshops, and documentation is actually the key. For this, we need to take extra time and invest as much love into this as we put into gathering the data and forming insights. A few tools that seem to work for us are the opportunity tree. That's just example of this. I didn't fill it in, but I think you get the gist. Then we also build user story maps with the team. When we make user tests, we also have it like hypothesis driven. We tried with customer letters, worked very well. And also we have dedicated bi-weekly meetings, and especially the latter now seem to be a core of functioning discovery work and alignment. It helped the team to keep talking about the why rather than about the what or the how, because the what and the how more or less actually has pretty dedicated spots in sprints and Scrum and whatever. Just talking about the why seems to never really have the spot. So we just got it in there and we call it Discovery Lab. So the main takeaways are: discover learning first, create valuable feedback loops, make your learnings transparent, and actively talk with your team about the why. And now, let's get to the management. As we came back from the workshops, we started our tour through the company. We gave tons of presentations to people, telling them what product discovery is and what it means and how we imagine it to be at SofaTutor and what our work would cover when we get the water running. And we've talked to the development team, to the product and the design team, to the management, to whatever stakeholder you can come up with. We wanted to make sure that everyone in the company understands this mind shift. And in the beginning, it seemed to be very successful, and people gave the thumbs up and they were like, yeah, sounds cool. And go for it and whatever, you know. And here you can see two presentation slides. Like the first one is that the original from when we gave them from the presentation of what is actually product discovery. The second one is we called it the core team. Like what core functionalities do you need to cover in the teams? And yeah, also like this, we tried to like make sure that people know what is going on. Unfortunately, we've realized that there was a big gap growing between management and the product teams. And it was all like leading to a lot of miscommunication and issues in the strategy process. And if we didn't do anything, things might have turned messed up big time. And first we needed to understand what caused this though. So we came to the following conclusion. Product discovery is not only product work. Yes, I know, seems like something we could know before, but knowing and realizing are two different things. So clearly, we heard that from Marty Kagan and from all the books that I read, or also my colleagues read. We could have known that. So we thought it's actually only necessary, or it's only something that is drastically changing something at the work from the product teams. And after our tour, no one was aware what it actually means effectively and practically for their work and how it's supposed to change so that the discovery can actually bring the sustainable success. And most and for all, the management didn't know that their participation and work, it's hard work, is absolutely necessary. They provide the soil for the seeds to grow in. So yes, you need to get them on board. And this is something that we had, right? So we gave all those presentations, we had them on board. So what did we actually miss? We should have planned clear action items for them and for us. We should have talked through this. And I don't want you to make the same mistake. And that's why I'm trying to be as clear as possible. And on basically what those action items are supposed to look like. So we're in the process right now at SofaTutor, and bear with me, it's nothing that gets done within a month or two. It's a process, and you also need to acknowledge the process. Number one, you need a product vision. I know you've heard it already a lot. Most of you probably, when you heard about product discovery and stuff, this is important, or you need it, or what is it and stuff. And I'm going to make damn clear right now. You need it. If you don't have it, you're going to, in the long run, you're going to run in the wrong direction probably. So you need to realize how important a sustainable product vision and the discussion about it is. This builds the actual foundation of any discovery work. See it as the soil to grow your environment in. If there isn't the right composition of nutrients, hardly anything will grow, or the wrong plants. And sure, it's super hard to create a good and compelling product vision. I know that, but it's absolutely necessary. Design a clear reporting process. That's something that I learned the hard way. How and when do you share insights? Who challenges what? What type of insights are to be shared, and how are you as a company learning together? When a flower dies, or a plant, something bigger maybe, a plant. Let's stick with a plant. When a plant dies, like a bad performing experiment, it gives important nutrients to the ground. And for next plants to grow, right? So they like dissolve and whatever, and then the ground has a lot of nutrients, and then on this, next plants can grow. Make sure you're building on top of that. It sounds weird, but honestly, don't scare away from the idea of writing a whole paper of learnings and insights to share insights that a lot of work will be based on. It's freaking worth it. Provide a clear strategy, intent, or business goal. And this needs to be absolutely transparent. Management and the teams, or at least the product managers, need to work through them together. Is it adding customer value or capturing value, also known as innovation and optimization? Is it cycle time? Is it ideation or growth? Needs to be fitting to your vision, obviously. And if there is no such thing as a clear strategic intent, in best case, the product discovery brings success that you don't care about, and in worst case, it simply goes nowhere. And last but not least, set up a fitting type of metric. I'm saying fitting because you need to find out what's the right way. And you need to do that collaboratively and transparently. If you don't have this, the team gets confused at some point at least. If, for example, retention or activation or adoption or task success are the keys to success for the company right now. And figure out if it's private metrics, if it's the HEART framework from Google or the North Star metric from Amplitude. It depends a lot on your business and on your organization, but make sure you find the right one because you need to work this out together. If you remember the sunlight in a forest, there's only so much space where it shines, right? And just like on the market, you need to make sure you can grow at exactly those spots. So let's shortly go over what we've learned today. Probably was a lot. And I want you to go home today with 3 major learnings. Number 1, first, how to water your plants. Transpose component-driven to mission-focused teams. Learn as a team what to act on and what not to act on. Communicate your moves and decisions. And be bold and outgoing as a team and show the results. Number 2, let the sun shine. Discover learning first, create valuable feedback loops, make your learning transparent, and actively talk about the why with your team. Number 3, provide nutritious soil. Formulate and discuss a product vision. Design a reporting process. Provide a 100% transparent and clear business goal or strategic intent. Work out metrics or OKRs in the teams. And I hope you all will get it right too and make the best out of your own mistakes and then learn together to grow on top of that so that your teams can actually make the change that your company and your users are longing for. So thank you for your time, and I hope to see you later today at 6 p.m. Berlin time for the Q&A.